Namaste friends, welcome to Yoga Bliss with Shelly, and I am Shelly. Today's practice is hip love yoga. Let us loosen and relax and gain mobility and flexibility, and maybe even get a little bit playful within our hips, my friends. If you have a hula hoop, pause this video, my friends, and grab that. If you do not have a hula hoop, please do not get discouraged. This is just going to be this fun little playful space in our hips, but you can practice this without that. Also, grab yourself a couch blanket and a pillow for the comfort and protection of your lovely, incredible joints, my friends. Unroll the mat, unpeel the edges, and together, let's welcome, my lovely friend. Grab, if you have a little meditation cushion or that couch pillow, and get that under those sit bones. Joining me in that butterfly. So just really bringing the soles of the feet, kissing the soles of the feet, and letting those touch together. And just allowing yourself to root down in the moment. You can grab onto the outsides of the shins if that feels good. And allow yourself to just wiggle in the hips and just bringing the awareness into the hips. And gently closing the eyes or softening the gaze and bringing in a breath that radiates up the sit bones, through the diaphragm to the up of the chest, top of the chest, and letting it exhale. Bringing in a breath up through those sit bones, up through the hips, all the way up into that heart center and letting it go. And taking 3 breaths which radiate up the sit bones on your own pace. And maybe allowing yourself to hear your breath a little louder this next one. Wonderful work, my friends. Big breath up those sit bones and letting that go. And just gently batting the eyelashes open and bringing the hands to the hips. And as we sit here, just gently rocking side to side. And as we're rocking side to side, just gently giving yourself a little hip massage here. And just gently rocking and massaging into the hips. This is Joy. He says, hello, my friends. And using the fingers, all the fingers on the front and in the back, and just giving yourself a little hip massage. And just checking into your hips. Where are they today? How are they feeling? And just gently bringing the hands to the back, the upper glutes, and just rubbing maybe a little bit into that booty muscle, because this booty muscle wraps all the way around these incredible hips. And just bringing that awareness into the hips, my friends. Oh, Joy, here you go. Of course, Joy wants to be chewing up on something, always does. And as we bring our awareness into the hips, my friends, just like I said, tuning in, just tuning into those hips and finding a little stillness. And bringing the hands gently to the soles of the feet as you inhale, raising up. Exhale, pressing the elbows a little bit into the crevice in between the legs. Raising it up, letting those hips stretch wide open. Folding forward. Big breath, raising up. And letting that go. And from here, my beautiful friends, taking the hands and bringing one leg up and the other leg up. Both feet facing the long edge of the mat. That was really funny that I just said that, and I did say that out loud. Exhaling, allowing the right leg to lay a little bit long while you bend in, bringing the left heel towards the pelvic wall. And knowing that this is going to be different for everyone, my friends, wherever you are in your hips, wherever you are in your hamstrings, wherever you are in your calf and your leg. So just tuning in. And this would be a good time if you have that blanket or that pillow. If you are feeling a little bit more limited mobility, you can grab that and put that underneath of the knee for a little bit of support. And knowing that supported versions in yoga variations do not mean that we're weak. They mean that we are taking good care of our body. So creating a length of energy that runs from the sit bones up high to the sky, and just gently walking the right hand. And you can post up on those fingertips or release them down to the earth. Inhale, raising the right arm up and bringing it overhead. And woo, hello, Joy is licking on the toes, toe tickler. Big breath in. Exhale, opening up the shoulder a little bit, peeking open and tuning all the way what it feels like in the hip flexor underneath in the top body. Big breath here, my friend, bringing it into that extended side seated angle and letting that go. Big breath, pausing here and letting that go. Corseting that core strength. Exhale, allowing the right arm to come either to the shin, all the way down to the ankle, or if you can go to the bottom of the foot, whatever this looks like for you, my friend. Inhale, raising up that opposite arm and just gently bringing that left arm over the body and tuning into what that feels like in the hips and the side. Big breath in and letting that go. Big breath in. You can even raise up for a little more active. Exhaling it out. If this is feeling super duper funky, you can even bend and bring this knee up towards you, driving that heel in towards the body. So just tuning into whatever it feels like in your body, my friend, here. And letting that go. Wonderful work. And if you have that pillow, that support underneath, just gently swinging that right foot in and reversing it in the opposite direction. So repeating the opposite direction. So bringing those sit bones down to the mat, releasing that left leg long, and knowing that it's going to feel tighter or looser on one side of the body. Driving the right heel towards that pelvic wall, my friends. Inhale as you walk the right hand down to the earth, raising up through the core, opening, allowing that shoulder to lift up big and wide, my friends. Oh, and just feeling whatever that feels like in the hip and the core and the body. Big breath here and letting that go. Coursing that core strength as you draw that navel in towards that belly button. And just gently bringing that left hand either to the knee, to the shin, to the ankle. Exhaling that opposite arm overhead. Gently, you can peek up if that feels good, or just going forward, or if it's feeling a little funky monkey in your hips and you're having a hard time, you can just take this slow and gentle. And knowing with anything in yoga, any sort of movement, you can choose to activate all the muscles by just bringing, just almost like envisioning turning on at the bottom of the foot, turning on the calf, turning on the quads and the hamstrings. Big breath here, my friends. And letting that flow out. Wonderful work. And letting that go. Exhaling, opening up both legs long. And as you bring both of the legs long, knowing that this does not look the same for everyone. I used to judge myself hardcore for this because my legs it's a little bit challenging. This pose is a lot challenging for me. A wide leg, a seated wide legged straddle. So opening those legs up long, activating through the bottoms of the foot, envisioning that there is a wall coming in. And if it feels a little tighter in the hamstrings, you can always grab the pillow and the blanket and you can get them underneath of those legs, because I know for a really long time I stressed out that I couldn't get my legs flat on the earth. But guess what? I can modify and just set yourself up for success as you create a line of energy from the sit bones high up to the sky. And you can activate through those bottom of the toes, the bottoms of the feet by imagining a wall coming up. Inhale, raising up, and you can exhale those hands. Again, you can start at the top of the thighs or creep forward and just feel what that feels like in the hips, all the way down low into the sit bones, and you can even bend those knees up a little bit if you need to. You can grab the bottoms of the feet, bringing in a big breath here, and letting that go, bringing in all the love into the hips. Big breath in and letting that flow all the way up the soles of the feet, up to those sit bones, and letting that go, letting go of whatever was happening before this and whatever's happening after, and just showing up here for you in your hips, my friends. Big breath as we pause here, exhaling, and knowing if you have those nice bend to the legs, you can get that nice generous bend to the back. If you have straighter legs, challenge yourself to draw that core, that navel back towards the spine and keeping a straighter spine. I know for me, I almost feel like I get locked in this pose if I have my legs too straight, but if I can create a little bit more roundness in my joints and my knees and my spine, I feel better about it. So knowing that this is not a one size fits all, my friends. Big breath in and letting that go. Wonderful work, my beautiful friends. One more big breath in, letting that flow. Inhale to raise up, and you can move your pillows away. And from here, you can swing the legs to one side. And, yep, swinging the legs to one side and meeting me in a tabletop position. And I like to have this blanket to protect those knee joints. So giving yourself a nice folded blanket that you fold nicely for you, because right, we're always taking care of other people. And it's important for us to take care of us, and this will help protect the knee joint. So coming in on all fours, opening up the hips and the knees wide, touching big toes, and sinking those sit bones back towards the heels. And here, my friends, if this is feeling too tight, you can put those pillows underneath, but opening those hips up wide, sinking the heart down to the earth. Sinking the heart down to the earth. You can allow the forehead to rest onto the earth. You can track the arms forward or allow the arms to fold gently behind you here. You can even take a soft little bind if that feels good. Or you can give yourself a little adjustment by just gently bringing the hands, the palms of the hands, and pressing them on that flat, bony part of the lower back and just gently pressing down. And you can kind of feel back for the hips and just gently pressing those hips down and into the ground. So just pushing straight out from the bottom and all the way down towards the earth. Ooh, that feels super good. And maybe if you need a little hip love and rub, you can ball up your fists and just gently massage that lower back and that hip region where it's needing all the love. Big breath in, up through the spine, and letting that go. Just pausing here for a little moment. And as we just gently placing the palms of the hands into the earth, rising up, grounding and rooting into those hands. And from the core, sitting that core strength, and just gently walking that right foot forward and helping it, bringing that foot forward, rooting the four corners of the feet, the two in the front and the two in the rear, into the mat, my friends, here. And just gently, so we have this front foot and pointing that foot away from you. So just turning the foot away from the mat, facing the opposite edge of the mat. It's gonna look like this. I'll face you so you can see it a little bit better. So facing, it was facing forward, now facing away. And as it faces away, just gently walking the hands and bringing that weight, keeping that weight just evenly in the core and feeling it opening up that side body, my friends. Big breath in. And letting that go, opening up at that hip flexor joint and pressing into those four corners of the feet and feeling this radiating up the calf and the hamstring as it opens up the hip and the side hip and the, all of the hip. It feels so good. Exhaling, and you can just gently walk to the opposite side and just feel what that feels like in your body. Good job here. And you can even kind of just take small circles as your hands are walked to the opposite edge of the mat, just slowly using that hip, that ball and socket joint, and just moving it in a clockwise direction and a counterclockwise direction. Just maybe intuitively tuning in. If this feels good, I feel guided to take my hand and pressing it into my knee and just kind of pressing and opening that knee joint up a little bit, externally rotating slightly from the body. As we still find mobility and stability in the knee that's on the earth, my friends. Big breath in and letting that go. And from here, just walking those hands and just doing a gentle transition as you lengthen that leg long on the mat. So the toes are going to face the long edge of the mat. Soft, gentle bend to the knee, aligning the foot behind the leg and aligning, whoop, my hula hoop is falling behind me. Hello, hula hoop, not quite yet. And aligning the hip over the knee and corseting that core strength and bringing that hip up, and wherever you are in that hip, and maybe it feels a little sore and tight in the hip, so you can just take it slow. Ooh, for me it feels a little funky monkey. You can post up high on this left hand, or you can post down low, whatever feels best for you. You can keep a soft bend to the elbow here. Inhale, giving yourself this lovely modified extended side angle, bringing a little bit of love into that hip. Exhaling, coming in for that cross gate and giving that love to those hips as we envision this invisible wall and drawing our hips towards that invisible wall. Exhaling, one more of these. Slow, extended side angle as you corset through those hips, opening the hips. Maybe if it feels good, if you need to bend back, and you can just gently bring that pelvis all the way forward and toning through that pelvic wall, exhaling through that corset of core strength, drawing those hips forward. Cross gate variation, my friend. Wonderful work from here. Exhale, hinging forward, coming into that tabletop position, bringing that left foot under the body and allowing the opposite foot to face the right foot, to face the short edge of the mat. So just gently turning that foot out and just kind of tuning in. If you noticed, my foot was way past my knee joint. So bringing that foot, aligning it under the joints, just stacking those joints and stacking the joint of the leg that's supported underneath of you here. And just gently walking the hands, still not putting all of your weight into your leg, into your hip, and just walking. And maybe just intuitively move whatever your hip is telling you. My hip, did you hear that? I had some nice hip pops there, so that felt really good for me in my body. And just maybe tuning into what feels good for you. That feels really crazily good. Wonderful work, my friends. Just allowing that hip to be open, and if it feels good, you can even take a little modified football pose, bringing that strength into that core. Exhaling it out. Wonderful work. From here, my friends, toes facing the long edge of the mat and releasing that leg long, but keeping that bend to the knee, walking the hands to the left side of the mat. Exhaling as we bring those hips forward and just really stretching through that, the hip flexor, feeling it in the inner hip and the thighs. We open the body up. You can inhale, extend that angle, creating this beautiful diagonal line from the fingertips to the toes. Big breath that radiates up through the sit bones. Exhaling, opposite side. Wonderful work, my friends. Inhaling it up and exhaling as you flow. Pausing here, extending that side angle, my friend. Letting that go, coursing through that core strength. And just feeling what that feels like in the hips if they're trying to drop down, trying to keep them forward and engaged. Wonderful work, my friend. Wonderful work, my friends. From here, my body was trying to tip to the side, trying to keep the weight even and hinging forward and coming in on all fours and tuning it into dropping those sit bones and allowing the navel to drop, bringing the chin up high to the sky, tuning into what it feels like in the hips. Inhale, raising as you tuck that tail, tucking the hips towards the chin. Exhaling it out. Tuning into what it feels like in your hips. Good job, my friends. And letting that go. Taking a few cow and cats at your own pace as you really activate through those engaged starfish hands into the earth, rolling the eyes of the elbows out. Wonderful work, my friends. And from here, posting up on those hind feet, gently peeling up, rolling the eyes of the elbows out, bringing those sit bones high up to the sky, opening up that front body, and that back body, and just feeling what this feels like, bringing the attention into the hips as you try your best to sink the heart towards the upper thighs and walking the hands back to the feet, gently taking that blanket and moving that out of the way, and slowly and mindfully with each vertebrae joining me in the standing Tadasana and meeting me in your Tadasana. If you have that hula hoop, my friends, now would be the time. If you do not have a hula hoop, I want you just to envision yourself holding this round sphere around your body. And as you just hold this sphere, so whether or not, if you don't have one, just bringing the hands here and envisioning this beautiful circle that represents the whole T, the full circle of life here, as you root those four corners of the feet into the earth. If you do have that hula hoop, and just bringing this here, and now bringing the awareness up to the hips, and just slowly with the hoop, envisioning this hoop rotating and orbiting like you are this beautiful planet in the universe, and allowing this to orbit around the hips. And now slowly as you root into the earth, just bringing the movement into the hips as you carve a circle into the earth. So going in a clockwise circle, you can close the eyes if that challenges you too much. You can find a drishti and just envisioning yourself carving this circle and just trying to bring the awareness just into the hips. So doing so requires us scanning from our feet up, soft bend to the knees, and bringing our weight kind of into the heels and evening out and corseting that strength and zipping up through that midsection. A lot of times, sometimes when people think of hula hooping or moving their body, people will begin to put the butt out and start leaning the heart forward. You really want to encourage that body to stay straight up and down, keep integrity of the spine. And then when we get our stance, then we can take off and we can bring that hula hoop. So if you don't have a hula hoop, my friend, you just envision and move those hips. So you just, before I started hula hooping, which took me about almost 6 weeks to learn how to keep it up, not kidding you, I learned this 3 years ago. It is now this joyful, amazing part of my life. Some mornings I will practice yoga and then I will just hula hoop in the middle because it brings me so much joy. But really bringing that awareness into those hips as you free the hips and just plant your feet into the earth. And if you are a little bit more seasoned with the hula hoop, you can walk around if that is fun for you. You can open those legs up wide. You can do a yoga squat. There's so many fun things that you can do in your hips and let your hips get a little loose. So I encourage you, my friends, whether or not you've tried hula hooping or you haven't, to maybe find a hula hoop. A bigger hula hoop works better for beginners, by the way. I just started hooping on this hoop about a year ago. It took me 2 years of using a very big, oversized hoop. But knowing that we can give our hips so much love with a hula hoop, and it actually also tones the core. It is this dualistic, amazing thing. And it brings me so much joy. Sometimes I just love to hoop it out, my friends. So wherever you are, if you have a hoop or not, we're gonna grab the hoop and we're gonna just meet back in that Tadasana and bring our sphere around us and breathing in a big joyful breath into the heart center. Shooting down to the hips and letting that go. Big breath into the hips. And just allowing yourself to feel whatever feelings are arising. For me, so much joy, so much vibrantly alive peace washes over my entire body when a hula hoop is around. I love my hula hoop. I will give it a kiss. And gently setting that hoop down. From here, my friends, meeting at the back of your mat, hinging the heart forward. As we hinge the heart forward, just gently walking those hands. Just walking those hands about halfway, and from the core, gently releasing the knees down onto the earth. And from here, walking the hands all the way forward. And releasing both legs into that plank position. So both legs long and strong, creating that flat line on the back. This is one of those poses where sometimes we can either lower our booty too much for an up dog or coming for a downward dog. So really doing your best to create this flat back, like someone's serving a meal on your back. And you can even push into a downward dog though, if that does feel better for you. And bringing that right leg up just about halfway. Inhaling in, allowing that foot to walk on the outside of the right hand. And from here you can allow that knee to rest on the earth, or you can keep it powered up, whatever feels best for you. I'm going to grab my blanket and put that under my knee for a little bit of knee support. Exhaling, you can allow the top of the foot to lay long and just opening up that hip on that right body. You can walk those hands down. You can keep a hand up here if that feels good, and woo, just feeling whatever that feels like for you. As you open up that hip, and it's almost like this very gentle, you can gently externally rotate the foot by just moving the toes away from you, or you can point them forward if that feels good, or you can internally rotate them. Feel what it feels like. For me, this little bit of this external rotation feels absolutely incredible. Big breath here, my friends, and letting that go. And just gently from here, you can post up that hind foot and tucking the heel in towards that pelvic wall. If that blanket is in the way, you can just gently move it. So as you can tuck that heel in towards the pelvic wall. If you've been practicing yoga and you're pigeon, you have a lot more flexibility. You can bring that leg more horizontally to the body, just tuning in. Peeking behind, checking out that hind leg, and you can just gently roll the upper thigh out, tuning back to the calf and the foot. And from here, you can always grab those pillows and exhaling and allowing that body just to rest here. You can gently close the eyes, soften the gaze, and just allow yourself to be here in your hips. And get puppy kisses if that's what is happening. And just breathing in a breath into those hips and letting it go. Just giving so much love here as we rest and restore. Often we think we have to be doing all the things, but if we can just slow down and restore. Joyo. When we can allow our bodies to rest for lengthened periods of time, we can create more mobility and flexibility within that connective tissue. It's almost like this sock that wraps around our muscles, this like invisible webbing that wraps around, and it allows us to just deepen and expand. And it's interesting because often we have this perception of pounding harder or lifting heavier weights or doing the chaturangas, and that's what makes us stronger or making us a better yogi or whatever it may be. But it's these poses, my friends, that help us restore and helping us tuning into our body better. Big breath into that hip, my friends. It feels so good. And doing your best to just stay present with yourself, present with the breath in the back body as you open up. Just as in yoga is the union, as we can join our breath, our pranayama, our breath to our life force. We can allow ourselves to just be, to show up, to be our real self. Just showing up as you are, pausing here, and letting that go. One more breath, my friend. And letting that go. And gently coming up, however it feels in your body. Rooting those hands into the earth, posting up on that hind foot, coursing through that core strength, bringing that core and coming, woo, into that body. I know sometimes I let out little woos coming into that plank if that feels good. We're all the way up to that down dog and going into the other side as we lift that leg up high to the sky. And if you need to slowly or gently walk that foot forward and just repositioning that blanket for the knee on the opposite side, coming into that lizard. And this is my son Milo. He's home from school today. He has a little cold and he wants to be my little snuggly lizard underneath of me. Can you lay right here, buddy? Here. There you go.
When are we gonna pick up Jack?
Right here, buddy. And just allowing yourself to work through distractions. This is my motto of a mama of 3, is always working through distractions. So still showing up and doing you and allowing yourself to just open up that hip and that body. Little sticky cheeky over here. And opening up that hip and knowing that life happens. And I have had sick kids all week, but guess what? I'm still showing up for you and I'm still showing up for myself. And this is what I love about the home practice, is that even when life happens, we can still show up because we're at our house and we have our time, right? And allowing that hip to open up a little bit and posting up on the hind foot, squeezing up through the glutey booty and tucking that heel in towards that hip flexor. Woo! And I'm just gonna roll my blanket so it kind of goes a little under my hip that is popping off of the earth and tuning into that hind leg. So sometimes that leg likes to roll in, so just repositioning it, opening it out, allowing that leg to lay long. Thank you, buddy. We're gonna put this over here. Exhaling as we hinge forward, coming in for this more restorative pigeon, hinging forward at the hips and the heart, melting the heart into the earth, breathing in a big breath into the back body, and letting that go, and breathing in a big breath that radiates through the back body, and letting that go. And just showing up and being present and being kind to yourself for whatever's happening in your body. Maybe frustrations or overwhelm or the stress of the day, even children might arise. And knowing that all we can do is what is here and now. We can show up and be our best self here in this moment, without trying to push things away. And just embracing what is here and what is now. And being okay with however it's feeling in those hips. My hips are feeling a little, this side is feeling a little bit tired. Hey, Milo, right now, no. Big breath into that back body. Allowing that connective tissue to deepen. Pausing here, taking time to rest and restore, job, my friends. You're doing so well. Loving your hips. Breathing in a big loving breath into those hips, envisioning like a spiraling heart, spiraling around those beautiful hips of yours, and letting it go. And from here, just gently walking the hands up, and just gently, da-da-da-da, coming on the sit bones. Whee! Fun transition. And coming onto those sit bones, and allowing that blanket, da-da-da-da, to lay onto the earth. I'm going to go the opposite way because I'm going to lay by this little feller, by my Milo James. And coming from the sit
Mom, we're
bones.
gonna lay on Joy.
And slowly from the core, releasing all
Now you
the
can
way
do it.
down to the earth. And allowing yourself to root onto your back. Bye, Milo. And sometimes your son gets mad at you, and that's okay. And from here, bending the right leg and allowing the hand to come on the outside of the foot or the inside, or hooking on the big toe for half of a happy baby, and just gently just tuning into what it feels like. I know some people, like my husband, or I know my dad has had hip surgery, so things like this might be a little bit more challenging. So even if you can just grab that foot and bring that heel in towards that pelvic wall, that will be okay here. And just tuning into what that feels like in that hip, breathing in a big breath here, and letting that go. And gently crossing the leg across the top, almost like the middle, more towards the upper quadrant of the leg, just not resting on the knee here for this laying down figure 4. You can exhale the hands coming behind. You can interlace or cup around each other behind the hamstring, or you can allow your hands to interlace and come all the way to the top. And you can inhale, raising up, feeling what that feels like in the hips. Oh, this feels so good. Big breath in, allowing the hips to open, and finding that edge, that space between not enough and too much, my friends. Big breath here, giving lots of love into the hips, and letting that go. Wonderful work, my friends. Breathing in all the love into that hip. Woo, it feels so good. And letting that go from the core, allowing that foot to root into the earth, rolling out at the ankle, and maybe driving that knee up towards that opposite or the same side shoulder, and just opening up a little bit on that ball and socket joint, maybe just intuitively giving a little bit of love to that hip joint and whatever that is feeling like. And inhaling that knee up towards the chest, exhaling it long into the earth. Giving if that feels good, you can lengthen it long, or if it feels better, to rest it into the earth, just tuning into your body. And coming in, whatever it looks like on the opposite side, it might not look like the same on this side. So if you can do that, half that happy baby, you can grab the outside of the foot, the inside, or hook at the toe, or even just bringing that heel in towards that pelvic wall, bringing in a big breath into that hip as you try your best to open it up wide, and letting that go, bringing in love into that hip, and letting it go, and gently crossing that midsection and resting the ankle on the upper quadrant of the top of the thigh. And whatever this feels like for you, again, it might feel different on this side, you can lace around the back of the hamstring, or you can go all the way full for a little bit of a deeper stretch. And if you want it deeper, you can raise that from the core, just being aware that you're not lifting and straining the neck. I know that I've done this so many times, doing like crazy ab workouts, and then for the next 2 days I felt like an elephant was sitting on my head. So just being aware if that's what you're trying to do, and if that is straining the neck, you can just grab behind that leg, drawing Just slowly finding that edge as you open up that hip. You can activate the toes, creating some Shakti, opening the toes up and letting that go. Wonderful work, my friends. One more big breath in here. Tone through that core, exhaling, bringing that foot mindfully down to the earth from the core, bringing the opposite foot down, and just slowly you can guide yourself to touch the bottoms of the feet together, opening up the hips wide, allowing the arms to lay in surrender for our final pose in Shavasana with a little modified butterfly. Breathing in a big breath of love into those incredible hips of ours. And breathing all of the love out. And breathing so much love and compassion into our hips in. And letting that sink. And as we lay here, holding the intention of letting go, of surrendering, and just allowing ourselves to just feel the feelings. Be the noticer of the thoughts without trying to attach onto them. And showing up for yourself here and now. Wonderful work, my friends. Gently bringing the hands to the heart center. And breathing in a big breath of love for yourself. And breathing that love out. And breathing in a grateful breath for yourself. And letting that go. And bringing palms, kissing palms to that heart center. Namaste, friends. Thank you so much, my friends, for tuning in. Thumbs us up, subscribe to Yoga Bliss with Shelly, and check out the Yoga Bliss with Shelly podcast, available on Anchor and Spotify for more Yoga Bliss. I love you so much, and I'm so grateful for you.